Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us about being dedicated to empowering authors. Today, you'll be meeting Rebecca Paciorek, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who went from a traditional magazine publishing career to creating captivating digital marketing content that integrates well to enhance brand visibility. Welcome to the show, Rebecca. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, Suzy, I'm so excited to be here. I've been listening to your show for a long time.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being a dedicated listener. I really appreciate your support. And now you're here.
I know. I'm so excited.
Me too. So I know we're going to have a great conversation about your midlife entrepreneur story. We're going to be talking about your business and what's going really well, and also what midlife issues might be getting in your way. To some extent, a little here, a little there might be challenging for you in your life, as well as being a business owner. So my favorite first question is, how old are you? How long have you been an entrepreneur? And what it is that you do in the world? So take it away.
Thanks. Okay, so here we go. The big thing. I just turned 55 a few
Woohoo!
months ago. So yeah, like I'm halfway to 60 in this decade, right? And you know what? Turning 50 was way easier for me than turning 40. I'm not sure why. But turning 40 was like very traumatic. And then turning 50 was okay, well, whatever, right? Um, I have owned my business for 16 years. As you said, I published magazines for the first about 20 years. They were the magazines that are out at the grocery stores that have all the new homes and the apartments in them. So I was very involved in the housing industry. So new homes, rental homes. I even decided when the magazine closed, we had in the States here a bit of a crash and burn in real estate in like 2010. And it was about a year after my mom had passed away. And I thought, since, the magazine was no longer a business, that it would be fun to be a realtor instead, right in the middle of the crash. I don't know what made me think that, right? Like, I always thought they were the ones making all the money, and they didn't. And also, I hated it so much. Like, I would be sitting at my little cube working on my real estate stuff, and they said I was doing great. I had sales every month as a new realtor. But the real estate agents would come to me and ask me to do flyers and brochures for them. And finally, I realized I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is so much more fun." And they would pay me because realtors, they don't do anything without getting paid. And so I realized I liked that so much more that I just kind of opened my own business doing that. Instead, I gave up my real estate license, stopped paying all the dues, and just kept accumulating clients in the real estate industry. And then I met a lady in dentistry, and it was kind of a weird combination. All of a sudden, I had like a bunch of realtors and a bunch of dentists at the same time. And it was shortly after one of your podcasts started, your original one, that I started getting into the coaching world. I had hired a coach locally and started learning about, being in the middle is hard, right? This age, trying to do all the things. And I needed a community around me. I cannot say enough about having a community, right? Like,
Indeed.
having a community is so helpful. And I learned that it was time for me to do what I really wanted to do, which was work with authors. And so I really started pivoting my business in the last.
Now, hang on, Rebecca, you're saying so many amazing things. I just want to pause for a second.
Sure.
Because I can tell what you're going to say next is going to be fascinating. I just want to go back to this decision and insight that you had when people were coming to you, and you weren't an entrepreneur for very long, right? Before that happened?
Not really. I mean, I've always kind of had a side gig, like most entrepreneurs, a little side gig doing like newsletters and stuff for people.
So that's what I wanted to ask about, because that was a pretty big leap in terms of a creative idea. And so for you to recognize a need and then to pivot, like you had enough confidence in that insight seems like a big leap for how long you'd been in the real estate market, not the real estate market, the real estate business
Yeah. Yeah.
profession. Yeah, so I just want to honor that because as an
Oh,
entrepreneur,
thank you.
we have to learn to trust our instincts. A lot of times, the experts, of course, we're all hiring experts, we need some support, but sometimes we know exactly what we need to know. Something else is getting in the way. But you,
Yes.
right at that moment, you saw something and you recognized it was an opportunity. And that's unusual for most people who don't have that entrepreneur mindset. Wouldn't you say?
I do think so. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, so
Mm,
I truly believe it's in my blood. Like,
it may be.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was playing store when I was 5 years old apparently and doing all the things. And so I do think that, but also I'm an Aries and I'm very decisive,
Oh,
which is good and bad, right? Like sometimes I decide quickly and maybe I shouldn't have, but usually it's good because I'm very intuitive. I'm very, gut intuition oriented, and that has led me very well. Um,
fascinating. Okay.
so
Now,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you found yourself in the world of real estate agents and dentists.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden you have this idea about authors. So did you always love authors or love writing or love
yeah.
books? Like what happened with the
Oh
love
my
of
gosh.
supporting authors?
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. I know we're not on video, but I have a pile of old original Nancy Drew books behind me. My great grandmother worked at the Goodwill, and she used to bring me the Nancy Drew books as she would find them. And I started reading before kindergarten.
Wow.
And yeah, it just it's what I would do. And it's still what I do. I don't watch TV hardly at all. Like the guys are watching TV here. I'm in a book. So I almost always read. And in 2015, I had a realtor that I was working with in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And I was on the search for some new clients because when you're an entrepreneur and basically I'm a freelancer, right? Um, that roller coaster, that income roller coaster can make you
Yeah.
crazy. And I had a couple of dentists that had retired. And so I was looking for some new clients. And I was on Upwork and I saw an author that wrote about Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And I thought, well, that's perfect because I kind of know the area from working with a real estate agent. So I contacted her and she's like, small world, that's perfect. Started working with her. She's writing her sixth book in her series now. And I have worked with her most of that time up until recently. And it's not that she just hasn't been writing in a while. So I helped her launch all of her books and just had so much fun. And when I started joining the coaching world, because I just, like I said, I needed to get out and see people after COVID because I
Mhm.
started following people before COVID, but I really like went in to see people and go to events again, right? Like we all had that craving for people.
Yeah.
Um, my coach said, why are you not just concentrating on authors? Why are you even talking to dentists and realtors? The real estate, that time in my life was not good. My mom had passed away. I was coming out of a huge funk, a huge depression. um, my husband and I have both gotten laid off from our jobs within 2 weeks of each other.
Oh,
It was a horrible time, and so she's like, "Real estate doesn't make you happy." She's like, "Every day, you're putting yourself into the position of remembering the worst years of your life." I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting teary-eyed right now just thinking about it." I said, "Yeah, you're right." I'm like, "This is crazy." So I met with one of my besties, and she kind of helped me brainstorm some things. And as the realtors and the dentists would retire or leave for any number of reasons, most of my clients, like I have a lady that has been with me for 10 years, they're long-term people. I didn't replace them with realtors or dentists. I looked for authors. And so last year I went all in. I created the Authors Allies brand underneath Blue Dot and really just started, just targeting authors. It's what I love. I love to read. I've done magazines. It's very similar.
but
I've
yeah, it is and it isn't because you're not an acquisitions editor, you're not a
correct.
substantive editor, you're marketing.
Exactly.
So
But I
how do
was
you see that? Tell me more about that.
Sure. Well, with the magazines, I was the publisher. And with those kinds of magazines, that meant that I did everything. So I sold the ads. I physically produced the magazine. I edited the magazine. I proofread the magazine, and I had to go out and sell the ads for the magazine. So even though I had a team, I still basically did all of it, right? And I thought, well, okay, there's so many similarities as well as, I mean, the obvious differences, right? But I was a beta reader for many years. So I had at least been somewhat exposed to the book industry, in various ways. But marketing is my degree, public relations, communications. You know, I've always had that marketing
Got it.
creative knowledge, right? And so it
Got
was kind of a matter of taking that from one thing and applying it to the new niche, really. So,
So, what do you think the block was? Because I'm so fascinated with decision making. So, here you are, you love reading your whole life.
mhm,
I would say it's your passion, right?
yeah,
It's something you
absolutely.
would be doing on a desert island if you had a book with you. You've been
Mhm,
thinking about reading, it's part of who you are. It's probably in your blood as much as being an entrepreneur. So, one of the most common regrets that people have is that they don't, especially women, they don't allow themselves to be happy. So here it was right in front of your face, a giant opportunity to decide to work with authors on purpose, not just the occasional
right,
author who came to you, but like to go find them and to help them in a way that they really aren't interested in or don't know how to help themselves. What
right.
do you think blocked you from that? I don't wanna say obvious because so many of us can't see stuff that's right in front of
Oh,
us,
yeah.
but what do you think got in your way that didn't feel appealing or the right move or whatever it was?
That is so easy. Like, it was all about money.
Mm.
It was all about money because and then that fear, right? The fear of failure, the fear of not having enough, all of those self-limiting beliefs and doubts because like I said, in 2010, and we were about a year out from my mom passing away. My husband and I both lost our jobs. The magazine folded when the industry was closing. And my husband calls me 2 weeks after I find out from a parking lot at a grocery store and is like, "You're not going to believe this. I really thought he was messing with me because that's how he is." And he's like, "I just got laid off." I'm like, "You, no, no, no." Like, and we had just built a house. I mean, we just had a beautiful life, beautiful house. We lost everything we owned down to
Oh
our
my
car.
god.
We were a part of this gigantic Wells Fargo disaster in the States. They ended up like they got sued and they had to pay us money later. I mean, we lost everything.
Wow.
It was a disaster. And so the realtors were the low hanging fruit because I knew a bunch from doing the
Okay.
magazines. So it was low hanging fruit, people I already knew. I could feed us. You know what I'm saying? Like I was on unemployment, but with two of us on unemployment, we still only made half of what we made. And our bills and our life were set up on the other.
Right, right.
So it was very difficult. And I was still coming out of depression from taking care of my mom for 2 years and her passing. And I was just a hot mess, honest to God. I was a disaster.
Well,
Um,
and you saw exactly what you needed to do.
yeah, I knew what I needed to do to make
Yeah, I
money
get
to
it now.
live. So it was just easy. It was, like I said, the low hanging fruit. And only now, truly, after being a part of the coaching stuff and all of that, am I realizing all those limiting beliefs and everything that was blocking me from through those years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
switching it up and I mean, the dentists are fine. Like, I still work within the dental industry with a couple of dental authors, and I really enjoy that. I worked with a dental magazine, really enjoyed that. And it's not that I didn't enjoy the people of the realtors, but the
Yeah.
whole industry was representative of a really bad time in my life that I
Mm.
was coming out of. And so, yeah, it was the low hanging fruit. It was that was the obvious answer, right?
Yeah,
Um,
but also I can see that it was a little more than that, but
yeah,
first you had to
yeah,
save your family. So you
yes,
did that, and then while you're at it, it's always easier to do things for others than it is to do for yourself.
absolutely.
So it could have been also that it just seemed too out there to go after and to be so happy after so many years of scarcity mindset type of stuff, right?
Yeah, and I still fight that every day,
I
even
bet.
though I'm doing well, and I've been doing this for 16 years.
Yeah.
But, the other thing too is my business has been built so much on referrals that
Mm.
once I got a couple of realtors, I got more, and I literally did not have the bandwidth to take on authors, take on anything else. So at one point, I had 17 one-on-one clients.
Wow, that's a lot.
17. It was insane. I did have a couple of VAs working for me once upon a time. And then through the coaching and over the last several years, like that's just really pared down, pared down, pared down. Because as we age, we also realize that we don't have that energy that we
Yeah,
had.
and you wanna do what you really love to do when you have some wiggle room, so that's great. Thanks for sharing all of this. It's really so real,
Yeah,
so authentic about just what happens in life, you know? Now, I also wanted to ask you, what have you noticed about, where you're at being an older, and I like to say, of course, wiser, being older and
absolutely.
wiser, woman affects being an entrepreneur and vice versa. Um, what do you think about that?
You know, pros and cons. I mean, obviously, there's the wisdom that comes with age and experience and knowing ourselves a little bit more than we did. But there's that lack of the energy. There's all the various weird health things. In the last couple of years, I've gone through some really oddball stuff that you don't have when you're younger. The hormones, I mean, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so many things like that, right? But we have the wisdom to know that it's gonna be fine. I mean, I I went through my mom dying. I went through losing everything. I spent a month in the hospital when we had our son because I had preeclampsia. I've been through some shiz, right?
I
And
think so.
so I just knew it would be okay. But, I do think that wisdom of age and experience makes a huge difference, and getting to know ourselves. Like I've really come to know over the last 3 years by studying my schedule and my energy levels and all of the things when I work best, how I work best, right? And I'm sure you've
That's
experienced
huge.
that too.
That has come up, a fair bit on this podcast, and
Yeah.
people have different epiphanies and different realizations. Some people are better in the morning. Some people
Yep.
way prefer their morning routine getting dialed in the morning. Some people like to quit at 3. Some people love to work at night. But it's
Yeah.
how you're finally fitting in, uh, just the realization of how to help yourself
Right.
work
Oh
at
my
the level
gosh.
you
Yeah.
wanna work, right? Instead of, like, we're just so disconnected from our bodies for so many
Yes.
years.
Oh my gosh, yes. Until we're forced, it seems like
Yeah,
too. Like,
yeah.
I mean, truly, when you're in your 20s and 30s and you're kind of, out there living the life, right? You don't truly think about what's to come. I mean, you don't. You can't. It's like when people try to tell you what it's like to have a baby, and if you haven't had a baby, you don't know. So, yeah, like unless you've gotten older, you don't know. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a big part of it, don't you? Like just the
Mm.
part of that wisdom thing, right? Like,
Yeah, huge, huge.
yeah.
So, what do you want next in your business?
Well, having come from such a high stress of having all of those clients just try filling those needs to make ends meet, I'm really working towards a one-to-many, type of a business. I have my membership for authors, which, it's a group, and we actually do the marketing of your book together, and it's set up. The name is Roundtable, and that's just not the Authors Allies Roundtable isn't just the name. Roundtable is actually the framework, and it's a 10-step framework to set up your marketing suite for your author business through like a year of work and make it less stressful. So I want to help other people learn what I've learned, how to operate their lives in a more, I don't know what the right word is, but because I'm having a brain fart right now, of course. I want to help other women, recognize the best way to set up their systems too,
Yes,
right? To
yes.
work their lives the way that works best for them. And so that for me is going to look like a one to many sort of a program. And then I also have digital products. I have like classes and things like that, but I don't ever want to give up the one to one. I want to at least
Mhm.
keep sort of like, I don't know, a third of my business as one to one because I enjoy it so much.
I love that you
Um,
said that because you enjoy it.
yeah,
You can work on those digital products when you have the bandwidth to work on them, and you can
Yeah.
add them and you can build that part of your business. And the way you're going to always keep some private clients is so cool. And then you've got the energy, the support, the community of people in that membership. That sounds like a recipe for success.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Everyone is great. And really, the best part to me is the sharing of ideas.
Mm,
I'm teaching them the basics, right? It's kind of like the difference between doing math and doing the word problems, although no one usually likes the word problems. But,
they're very
like
hard.
they're very hard. And that's the reality of being an author. Writing the book, for most of them, they're like, that was the easy part. And then it's hard, right? And I'm
What do you
helping them to
think the
figure that
main
out.
what do you think the main thing is that you always see is so difficult for authors when it comes to marketing? One thing that's like in the way of almost all of them.
Oh my gosh. I would say it's just the what to do because
Mm,
they're so overwhelmed with choices.
mm,
The minute you put something, and you've probably experienced this with your book, the minute you put a note out saying, I'm publishing a book, you have 80,000 Instagram messages. Let me review your book. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do that. And it's so overwhelming that so many of them just shut down. And then they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do or what order to do it in. And that's not why they became an author. They became an author to tell their story. They did not become an author to be a marketer. So
mhm,
I think that just that overwhelm is so, so scary
mm.
for them.
That's great insight. So, one of the things I saw in your notes, the notes for me,
Hmm.
just before we did the interview, was just how much confidence you have developed at this age and stage. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because so many people feel less confident as they age.
Oh, I'm not the average bear on that one, I'm sure. Because shortly after, well, gosh, I'm going to say it was right before COVID, 2019, early 2019, I found out that my kidneys were failing. I had lost 40 pounds on Weight Watchers. I have fought my weight my entire life. I lost 40 pounds on Weight Watchers, and my A1C went up. Yeah, it went from 6 to 12, even though I lost 40 pounds. It was the craziest thing. So I'm not a good Weight Watchers testimonial, I guess. Um, and my doctor called and said my kidneys were failing. She's like, she had been trying to get me to do weight loss surgery for years. And I kept saying, no, 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 I can do this. Like I did everything right. I followed Weight Watchers to the T. I wrote down if I ate one potato chip. I'm not kidding. I was so
Wow.
anal. And so she's like, just humor me, go to the free seminar. So I went. And I realized how much and I got the sleeve surgery done at the end of 2019. I realized how much that surgery would help with all of the hormonal stuff too. And just like it's been a while now, but basically the way they explained it would really help my diabetes in the end.
Mm,
And then to me, the weight loss was a bonus because, of course, being a woman, always feeling fat, right? Like feeling judged my entire life for that. The
mm.
weight loss would be a bonus. I lost hardly any weight getting the weight loss surgery done. Yeah, I had lost 40 pounds on Weight Watchers. I gained some back, and then I lost maybe 20 pounds, if that, from the weight loss surgery. That's it, like 20 pounds. COVID started. My surgery was December 2019. I couldn't go to any of the appointments, the follow-up appointments in person. I had no support because all of a sudden the world shut down. So
Right.
I wasn't able to go out, do all the things, right? Couldn't go to a gym, couldn't do anything. And I just wasn't losing the weight. Wasn't losing it, wasn't losing it, wasn't losing it. And that affected my confidence in a hugely negative way.
Wow.
That was about the time shortly thereafter when I realized in 2022, by 2022 I realized how much I needed to see people in person. And so I hired a holistic nutritionist and we got to the bottom of finding out so much of it was inflammatory, hormonal. I had adrenal fatigue, cortisol. I mean, I'd always had these high pressure jobs to make money, right? To survive. And part of that is just me being competitive. Um, but I was just a hot mess. And so once I figured that out, and then I started going to coaching and doing all the things to get healthy physically, like internally getting healthy,
Mhm.
right? Like figuring out all this stuff. I went on GLP-1s. I believe it was like 2023. And the GLP-1s and getting a full hysterectomy. That is what I attribute to finally losing the weight. And that is when I finally, between that, the coaching, and then I started seeing a therapist last year because I had a breast cancer scare. I mean, last year was just so much, so overwhelming coming out of a hysterectomy into COVID brain fog, then thinking I had breast cancer. Like it was horrible. And
Yeah.
so this whole time though, having that community of women supporting me and cheering me on and saying, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, myself, seeing myself do this. My husband and son were amazing. My besties were amazing. Like if I didn't have people cheering me on, I wouldn't have any of it. And so knowing all those things that I had done and really, when you do coaching, a lot of that is that internal, what are you proud of? What are you this? You're doing some shadow work too, but you're also doing the good stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, I've done a lot, right? Like you don't realize when you're going through it because you're too busy going through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I
Mm.
think just so much of that has really led to the confidence. And it's not so much that I'm fabulous, which of course I am,
Yes,
but
obviously.
it's I'm fabulous because I did all this stuff that is like, wow, I did all this stuff,
You're resilient, my friend.
I
You are
am. I
resilient.
am. And you
Yes.
realize that though, and you go, okay, that's not normal for a person to have to go through so many things and still ultimately be okay, right? And so, yeah, I really think, like I said, therapy, coaching, a lot of work. I mean, I took all of the support systems that I hired very seriously. I did what they said,
It sounds like it. If you're tracking a potato chip, you're doing a
right?
good job
I
taking
finally
care of
stopped food
yourself.
tracking though. This year I said I'm done. This is crazy. I'm not doing this anymore. Like I
Yeah, good
tracked
for
my
you.
food for 5 years and I'm like, I'm done with that. So
That's a
it
lot.
was too much. Yeah. It
So,
was
yeah,
crazy.
you're really it sounds like your amazingness caught up with your awareness, or
Yes.
your awareness caught up with your amazingness, or vice versa, like whatever. But now you
Yeah.
kinda see that even though things were very hard,
Yes.
unbelievably hard and sad and emotional and challenging, you still overcame, and you were
Mhm.
still able to see this little glimmer of light about what was possible for you. That's
Yeah.
so exciting, and you leaned into that. So congratulations on all of that, and you did it
Thank you.
all north of 50
Yep.
when
Pretty much.
there's so many other things that can get in the way. It's
Oh,
just so good. So how can people get a hold of you? Because you certainly have a lot to offer.
sure. Well, I have a website. It's blue.digitalmarketing.com. So it's really easy to remember. And then my podcast is Authors Allies. Also pretty easy. And then I'm all over social media and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot that they can do. And I do have a freebie if you want to give that away. I didn't know if you do that with your group
Sure.
or not, but
Yeah.
I have a 10 steps to the ultimate book marketing plan ebook that I am happy to give to the guests, if that might help any of them out, because I'm sure you have a lot of authors on here that could use a little bit of tips here and there.
Well, the
Um,
midlife ladies do like to write, that's for sure. So
oh
how
my
can
gosh, we have
people get a
stories.
how can yeah, we do we have many stories. How can somebody get a hold of that freebie? On your website?
Yes, it's on my website, and I'll give you the link if you want it. But it's right at the very top of my website. You can't
Oh,
miss it.
good.
It's a
So
big pink, big hot pink button.
okay, great. So you wanna head to www.blue.digitalmarketing.com to get
Yep.
a hold of that amazing freebie, 10 steps to the ultimate book marketing plan.
Yes.
Fantastic. I know I'm gonna download that. That sounds amazing.
Oh,
Um,
it's so
is
good.
is there anything else you wanna share before we sign off?
Gosh, we've talked about so much. I would love to have you on my podcast sometime, though. I see
Well,
your
you
book
know
in the
I'm gonna
background
come.
there, so
Ah,
definitely have to do that.
totally wanna come. You ask and I will
Definitely.
show up in your Zoom
All
square for
right.
sure.
All right.
Rebecca, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all of this. I really appreciate how you've worked so hard with such adversity, and you're on a mission not to just help the ladies, but also to be happy yourself,
Yeah.
knowing how much time and energy you put into your career. And now you're also focusing on what you love to do. And that just makes me so happy. And I know it makes you happy too. So I
Oh my
really
gosh.
appreciate all of this and everything you shared today. You're amazing. Thanks so much for coming on.
Aw, thanks, Susie. It was fun. Thank you.
All right, that's all for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're also a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would also like to come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We'd love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It's never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick, before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with the show and are finally ready to make some changes to regret-proof your life, I want to invite you to apply for the Women in the Middle Academy. It's my transformational midlife group coaching program to help you get clear about what's getting in your way so you can get on with the good stuff. Head over to www.womeninthemiddleacademy.com. Talk soon.